The Meta Performance Marketing Summit happened about 3 weeks ago, and I've spent the last few days, couple of weeks, just collating all of the key information from various different sources about what they said, what's changing, and what it means for you moving forward in your meta marketing from 2025 to 2026 and beyond. And TLDR, lots of things changing, lots of things said. Some of it we've already seen come into fruition over the last few months, and some of it is kind of more systematic changes as to where they want to be going moving forward. So hopefully this breakdown will give you some key areas to start thinking about how you're going to utilize that information and kind of move it into your workflow and your media buying moving forward. The main kind of premise of all this stuff and what was said is that Meta is essentially moving away from platform attribution, platform measurement to real business outcomes, real business performance, and that's kind of the bridge that they're trying to gap. This has been a joke for a while in kind of the marketing space, is that Mark Zuckerberg literally just wants to grab your credit card, you tell him what you want, and he'll just go and like make it happen for you. Meta has never been closer to that kind of existence, that dystopia or utopia, depending on how you look at it. It's really key that we start to begin to understand exactly like what that means for media buying, how our roles as media buyers are going to shift away from kind of pulling levers, optimizing on the day-to-day in the platform, to being really strategically led marketeers in the first instance. So it's kind of going back to basics in that sense, but massive opportunity for those that can see themselves as being far more strategic as a partner or a business owner within their marketing, as opposed to just looking at Meta as another acquisition channel, media delivery channel in its own right. I've broken these down into 5 key areas that I think are the most important things that were covered, and we'll get into those now. So number 1 is the shift in incrementality is continuing. Yes, I know we've been discussing this for a while. Meta obviously launched their incremental ROAS setup and their reporting setup back at the end of March 2025. They're only doubling down on this, so more and more of what they are trying to achieve will be built around the incrementality system that they have in place, that ongoing live real-time holdout testing piece. Now at the moment it's not quite there yet, and many people have kind of tested it and said the same, and I think a lot of this is a combination of it being very, very early to market with its product, and if we know Meta tend to launch things and then they will improve them over time, and they have the resources to do that, and it will get better. And I think the second part of this is that people just don't really know enough about how it's really operating in real time. Yes, we know it's real-time holdouts, but what does that actually mean practically in terms of like how it's being measured? There should and hopefully will be some more documentation and kind of understanding around how that's kind of impacting things moving forward. That being said, few people have kind of reported it versus third-party uplift tests or conversion uplift tests and holdout tests, basically incrementality tools, and have stated that it's pretty much there or thereabouts equal in terms of how it's reporting. So we should hopefully see some real progress in this area. So if you're not on it right now is the time to test it, understand it, see how it works for your business and how incremental you really are, knowing that this is only going to get more accurate and more important as we move forward. The second big thing, which I think is actually a really, really exciting one, that was kind of mooted, that people are talking about from the summit, is profitability, attribution, marketing, and optimization. So the kind of end goal of all this is that you can then load those cogs, that cost of delivery, those overheads directly into the Meta platform, and then you will be able to bid and optimize your bidding based on profitability margins or profitability ROASes. It'd probably be a combination of the two. This is something that things like profit metrics or profit-led tools have been kind of claiming for a while, but having it built into the ad auction system via Meta is going to be a game changer. So this makes it even more important moving forward that you are on top of your numbers, you understand the margins around your numbers, the unit economics around your products, and that you can bake in accurate bidding structures into this, because obviously it's going to be easy to get this wrong, and if people don't have the right data, they're not going to use these tools. That's going to put you at a disadvantage compared to those agencies or those media buyers that will use it and use it as part of their fundamental marketing delivery strategy. It's being bandied about that this will be coming into beta or start to roll out into some accounts come the end of the summer, so early August, end of August time. So that is not long, and I expect it's going to be reserved to some of the bigger partner accounts, so we'll probably see them giving the opportunity to test it and work on it first, but that usually means that the mass market is not far behind. So I expect by the end of this year, most accounts will have some form of systemized delivery against profit optimization, which will be massive for all of us. Number 3 was the kind of doubling down on creative, and creative being the heart of everything that Meta are trying to achieve, and everything that the platform wants to do. So we've been talking about this for ages. Meta have been banging on about this for years, but it feels now that it is much more systemized process in place. Meta really wants this to become a piece of work where you are building creative processes and supply chains in order to actually have high quality production, and they're going to be kind of baking that into their systems. Something that is kind of come up recently and again reiterated at the summit, as far as I can read and tell, is that creative variations is a big deal. So gone are the days where variations are small headline changes, copy changes, color changes to image ads, that type of thing. They are basically micro variations, and Meta's not particularly interested in those. It doesn't want an ad account full of hundreds of different micro variations of ads. It wants very distinct concepts, formats, approaches, angles, and that might be the difference between a certain hook and delivery angle on a 60-second video versus a different one on a 30-second video. That would be considered variation, not the micro variation. So if that's what you're doing and that's what you feel is sufficient for Meta moving forward, it's not going to be for much longer, if not already. So you really need to start thinking about how you scale up production, equally variation. That's kind of the two things that were ever present as kind of the pillars of the creative piece at the marketing summit. Number 4 was around the creator ecosystem and the partner-led ecosystem. Meta has had the tools in place like co-branding and partner-led creatives and things that you can obviously set up, and you can co-brand it with a partner and use their content, and you kind of have your name against it, etc. That's been in place for a while, but the ecosystem in how you kind of network, build relationships, and kind of again systematize that hasn't been there. So that's all been done kind of outside of the platform. It sounds like from what they've been discussing is that this is now going to be a key part of the ecosystem, in that you will be able to get in front of key content creators who are great at creating native content for Meta. No interest in Meta of people creating low quality assets and then delivering those. They want people who can create high quality assets. So it's within their interest to bring these two people together, us as the media buyers and all business owners, and then those that are good at creating content for their respective platforms. So expect to see infrastructure or a marketplace for networking creators and something like that in the near future. That's going to be a big part of how you can source creative moving forward, and Meta are going to be at the forefront of that. Then the 5th and final one is, no surprise, but it's that continuous delve into AI as being a core part of the bread and butter of how Meta Ads ecosystem is going to work. So historically, we've seen a lot of this at back-end system level. So Advantage Plus, ad variation, building copy, stuff like that, all that kind of back-end stuff to make your ad variation stronger, higher, more opportunity for you to go. But I think we expect to see this now evolve into the post-click environment. So Meta really wants to take that walled garden a little bit further and kind of go, well, if we've got all this information, why don't we also help you produce landing pages or user experience outside of the kind of traditional Meta space, which is post-click. So I think almost like the old instant experiences, which some people still use. It pops up a pre-built page that you've done and it keeps everybody in the ecosystem. It's better for tracking, stuff like that. So kind of like a TikTok shop kind of environment, but they want to leverage all of that information that they have on their buyers and then kind of AI systematize this so that, for example, that instant experience could be done dynamically on the fly depending on the user and their behavioral system. So that could be really powerful, and it's another step into what would traditionally be the website experience space from Meta. Some might see that as quite encroaching, quite aggressive, but it makes sense for them. And as much as I don't like giving all of our assets and all of our kind of freedoms almost into one platform, it does feel like naturally that would be a better user experience and a faster, more seamless user experience. Like anything, it's going to pose risks, but it's certainly on their agenda and on their radar moving forward. So there you have it. That's kind of 5 key takeaways from the Meta Performance Marketing Summit. And I guess the key question is, what does that mean for me? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for us as media buyers? I think it's really important to understand that Meta's roadmap, is accelerating. They have big plans moving into 2026 and beyond. It poses challenges for agencies such as my own, and media buyers and freelancers listening or watching, and also business owners. It's a pretty aggressive landscape from there. But I think the three kind of takeaways that you need to know is, like, get your data locked in quickly, better quality data, more of it, as much of that as you can into the Meta platform. That's going to be key. It always has been, but it's going to be more so now than ever. Get those conversions API set up, get those EMQ scores higher, get that first party data hooked in dynamically as best as you can. Think about creative cycles and creative production systems. How are you going to systematize your creative production? How is that going to be a key part of your workflow? This is not easy, and we've started to do this on my side of my agency and how we work. It's like, how do we actually build systems that allow us to create creative and brief in creative and get that produced? That's going to be a massive part of the media buying journey moving forward. So I recommend looking at how you do that within your own current workflow and how you will get to that, because that's going to be live or die kind of stuff within the space moving forward. And then finally, it's kind of looking at those partnerships. Again, something that my agency and kind of my team haven't really done much of, which is networking, outreaching, finding ways to kind of bring creators and kind of content, UGC content producers into the space so that we can leverage that content. Obviously there are third parties that can help you do this, but Meta are going to move into the space as well, so it should be more accessible, but you're still going to have to think about how you build those kind of commercials and systems around it. So that pretty much covers everything that you're going to need to know from the Performance Summit. Not loads there that we don't know, but I think a couple of key ones is the profit-led stuff, profit-led optimization and bidding coming so soon. I did not expect that. That's going to be something that I really want to jump on, my end at least. I'm going to be getting some experiments and testing, keeping my eye close to the ground on that one. So I recommend you do the same. And really just kind of excited about seeing, nervous about seeing what Meta can do with the landing page experience stuff. As somebody who works with developers and we have sites, one of the big challenges is how we can move quickly to produce assets that are strong and convert. If we can do that with the use of Meta's AI, and we can kind of almost dynamically create landing page experiences on the fly, that's a completely different world of like custom optimization that I think is going to be massive in the future. So those two things I think stand out. The rest is more just a continuation of what we've already been seeing. Important nonetheless. There you have it. Hopefully that breakdown has been helpful, useful. If there's anything that you want to discuss or any other kind of areas that you want to dive into around what was presented at the summit, drop a comment, drop me a DM, or just give us a shout on the email address for Marketing Forge, and happy to discuss this at any point. But for more of this, stay tuned.